This is the Sunday stream opening song because the other song is copyrighted. La 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 la. Oh look, here comes Dog Cat Fox.
Hi, Sky.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Sunday stream, the stream I do on Sundays because Sunday is the day to stream on Sundays. I hope you're all doing well this morning, this Sunday morning. Well, I just got done watching The Adam Project on Netflix, which will completely date this broadcast. It's okay. I might do a review on it later. I don't know. We'll see. But other than that, how are you guys doing on this beautiful Sunday morning, just after daylight savings time? So if you're here and you're wondering, why am I on the air? Actually, technically, you should be waiting for another hour for me to come on the air because it's jump ahead, spring ahead, that kind of thing. Anyway, whatever. Hope you're all doing well. Hope you all got a good enough sleep last night, all things considered. Who's joining me this morning? This Sunday morning? JMK, Brett Ide, Some Namnul Nation, BC Cognito, or Biki Cognito, or Baikai Cognito. One of the three, I'm sure works. Matt Barnes, Mike R., Point Curation. Thank you so much. Let me get that here before it disappears. Morning all. Wish everyone well. You too, Point. Hope you're doing all right. Mr. E. Who else? Ken Elliott. Bridget, Johnny Hellcat. Toku. Ebony Williams. Mick Zimzim. Or MZ Zemzem. I don't know. Is that Scottish or something? Mick Zimzim. Let's see. Dagger 3K, the gayest person on YouTube. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Ryan R. Jaeger Pony. This is Kyle. Good morning. So what do we have on deck for today? Well, for those of you that may or may not know, and I think I forgot to actually put a link to this in the description, so I'll try to remember that after the fact. I did a podcast last Sunday after the Sunday stream, a show called A Guy in His Room. And in the course of that conversation, one of my previous Sunday streams was brought up where I was looking at Dr. Chris Hoff interviewing a therapist lady about her process of queering her therapy practice. You can find that in my little archive on the channel. And in the process of talking about that live stream, I thought to myself, mental health is a subject I haven't covered recently, and I should probably be covering more often, I think. Oftentimes I will cover education and educators and schools and things, and you've seen those on my Curriculum of Fear series and elsewise, because the social movements of various stripes being promoted in schools, especially elementary schools and so on, is a bit concerning, to put it mildly, because you have the most impressionable minds at the ready to absorb whatever potential nonsense or agenda-based information you have to give. But likewise, in mental health, where someone is coming to someone else for help because they are in the most vulnerable state, or some vulnerable state, of not being sure of their own perceptions, let's say, or their own mental stability. And if your therapist has an agenda that they're going to insert into the process before they've even talked to you about your own personal problems, that is also a concern to me. And so, in that vein, I found a video that was posted just the other day that is going to tell us how the American Counseling Association, something I'd never heard of before, is going to give us sort of a progress report on how it is instilling anti-racism into its practices, or into its profession, I suppose. Now, for those of you that don't know what anti-racism is, I highly recommend you look it up for yourself. But my baseline understanding of it from the author of the book on the subject, Ibram X. Kendi, is this. Distilled thusly. Racism is a universal constant. It is in all systems, in all people. You cannot be not racist. You are either racist or anti-racist. And to say you're not racist is to live in denial, and to be anti-racist is an act of confession. And those are not my words. Those are his. That is my understanding of that. So how does that all translate into applying to psychological therapy? I don't know, but we're about to find out, at least from one perspective. So, with all that being said, I just noticed that the speaker's name is Ebony White. Okay. Well, Ebony Williams, there you go. A couple more hellos before I begin. Spoonie the Rebel, Ostzan, Jeanette E. Hellis, No Name. Who else is here? Tall Person, Neon Leon, and Brett Ide. Brett Ide, thank you. As always, you are ridiculously generous. It's the effing Sunday stream. Woot! It is the effing Sunday stream. All right, then. Well, thank you, Brett. As always, very generous of you. I appreciate it very much. But with all that is preamble, let's get into this. This clocks in at just over 22 minutes, so we should be able to get through the whole thing, barring it being too full of pause breaks, but we'll see. And I'll start off with a few seconds for sound test. You guys tell me if you can hear it, and then we will proceed.
Professional associations for behavioral health are starting to address racism. And to speak about this, we're going to speak about the American Counseling Association's efforts in this regard.
Okay, well, we're going to talk about the American Counseling Association's efforts in this regard. You guys hear that all right? Sounds good, says some emulation. Sounds good, says Mike R. Let's see. Nobody Not Me. Good morning. A bit loud, says Ostzan. Let's see. I can try to meter it out a little bit. I did boost the sound a little bit or try to clean it up. So if this is still audible, putting it at like half level, let me know. Arc210, good morning. All right, so let us know. We're about to find out about the anti-racism efforts in the American Counseling Association.
And to discuss this with us, I have Dr. Ebony White.
Okay, does that sound all right? Is that too quiet now or not loud enough? Or I guess those are the exact same thing I just said at the same time. Anyway, let me know. I don't want to deafen anybody in the process. Let's see. Still good. Morning Scribe. Hi, Pie Guy 07. Ebony White. Yeah, I know. Ebony White. It's good now, says Austin. Okay, I'll leave it here for the time being.
She is a licensed professional counselor and a clinical supervisor. She is an assistant clinical professor in the Department of Counseling and Family Therapy and the program director of the Master of Addictions Counseling program at Drexel University.
Okay, so we have a credentialed expert then. We're not talking about some fly-by-night individual. All right.
She is also the executive director of the Center for Mastering and Refining Children's Unique Skills, which is Marcus, the president-elect of Counselors for Social Justice.
Whoa, how does she find time to brush her teeth?
And the immediate past chair for the North Atlantic region of the American Counseling Association. So Dr. White, thank you very much for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
And I know you have presented for us, which has been awesome.
You sound very genuine when you say that. I don't know. It just sounds a little produced. Mike Savage, Blarg.
Dr. White's courses are absolutely fantastic, and she is a true expert on efforts around anti-racism.
Great.
And I noticed that you are part of ACA's Anti-Racism Commission.
Oh. So,
I know that other professional associations in behavioral health have also been making these efforts to address racism within the professions themselves.
An anti-racism commission within the American Counseling Association. I cannot wait to hear exactly what they do and what they've accomplished.
So I think it'd be super helpful to hear how did ACA's, American Counseling Association's Anti-Racism Commission come about?
Yeah.
You could tell us a bit about that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So under the leadership of Dr. Sue Pressman, she was able to be at the helm of the Anti-Racism Task Force. And so folks who were appointed to that committee really worked hard to identify things they would like to see the larger organization, American Counseling Association, do to address, like you said, the historical racism and continued exclusionary practices that have existed.
Like what? I mean, I don't know. Conceivably, there's a problem that it is there to solve, so what problem was there? Thank you, Matt Barnes. I'll say it up front. Who watches The Watchmen? Yeah, there's that too. Like I say, mental health, it's one of those things that doesn't get talked about, at least as far as I've seen, very often when it comes to these subjects. And yet, if I think it should be talked about more. Does this make sense as something to preload into a practice of helping people through psychological or emotional problems? Because it is a social agenda, except that, and again, I'm not a therapist. I don't have any professional training. I've been through therapy before. And my notion always was, well, sure, each therapist might have a different way of coming at approaching someone's problems. But does it make any sense to have a pre-established lens of a social or ideological agenda that you're looking at everyone through first? Seems unhealthy to me. But then again, I'm not an expert, but our speaker is.
In the profession, particularly within the organization. And so from that came recommendations on ways in which the task force would like to see ACA move forward.
Okay.
As Sue Presselman was exiting out of her role, Dr. S. Kent Butler, who's the current president of the American Counseling Association, he then was at the helm of appointing the Anti-Racism Commission.
Okay, the construction of it is fine. What problems existed that this commission was meant to address? You have to tell us what the problem is before you describe the solution. So are we going to get to that part? I mean, I'm willing to believe there were problems that needed to be addressed, but you need to, tell me what they were or still are.
And so that is a 2-year appointment. Uh-huh. And, the commissioners, we're tasked with seeing those agenda items, those initiatives.
Such as?
We're tasked with seeing those things move forward, as well as being a voice in the process of, basically, all initiatives that have an impact on the constituents, particularly marginalized folks within the profession. So across levels, whether they're counselors, supervisors, counseling students, and of course, the communities that we serve.
Okay. Well, I know it's a dumb question, but everybody's different. What qualifies as a marginalized individual in your profession? What attributes mark someone as marginalized? And again, what existing issues needed to be addressed by creating the Anti-Racism Commission? And remember, anti-racism is a very specific phrase now. It doesn't just mean what it means if you just take those two words by themselves in captivity, so to speak. It means something much different. It is a faith-based system that racism is everywhere and everyone is a racist inherently, without question. I mean, that is the given. That is where you start from without even doing any interrogation of the facts. So what is it there to fix?
Oh, yeah. And what are those specific tasks that the task force wanted done? Like, I know the ACA came out with the anti-racism statement or policy. Is there work being done to do the research on systemic racism, throughout the history of the profession? What are those tasks that are being done?
Okay, credit to the interviewer. He's asking for specifics. More or less, he started trying to answer it himself a little bit, but okay, I appreciate that. So far, it's not just a softball. What are the initiatives?
Absolutely, and I should have had the foresight to know that you were going to ask me that.
You should have had the foresight to know he was going to ask you that. You're here to report on the Anti-Racism Commission's efforts within the American Counseling Association, and you should have had the foresight to know he would ask you what you are doing. Okay.
And I don't want to get them wrong.
Okay.
So I'm pulling them up to...
Wait. You're on the commission. Shouldn't you know? I mean, even if you can't remember every single one of them, you could remember, like, I don't know, the top 3, right? I mean, if you were stuck in an elevator and had to make an elevator pitch to someone else about the utility of the Anti-Racism Commission and its efforts within the ACA, you could at least name the top 3 things, or heck, just the top 2. Just the top 2 things that you guys are doing, or the priorities. Really? Okay.
Be able to read them.
Sure. Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, no problem. I'm sorry. Don't get me wrong. It's not like I do a whole lot of panel discussions where I am expected to be prepared for a lot of things or stuff. But this is your job, or at least one of the 17 different jobs or positions he listed off, and you knew this was the subject you were going to talk about coming on here, and you do this work, personally. So, I'm honestly kind of amazed.
All right. And so there were a few on different levels, and they were condensed down. But I'll just broadly say that on an individual level, we wanted to make sure ACA played a large role in training on decolonized theories and interventions.
Decolonized theories and interventions. Okay, now, again, my past experience just tells me that when you say you're going to decolonize something, you are, in some way, shape, or form, going to eliminate or, let's just say, diminish the presence or importance or anything in regards to white people. That is what I have come to understand decolonize to mean when it is used in any particular context. But I hold out hope we'll have a definition here, but if not given one, I'm just going to have to fall back on my past experience.
For working specifically with Black clients, making sure that anti-Black racism, reform, advocacy, and activism is occurring at all levels, creating leadership pipelines for marginalized pop, specifically Black people in the leadership pipeline.
Marginalized people, but specifically Black people. Okay, so this is a race-based agenda. You call yourselves the Anti-Racist Commission, but is a specifically race-based agenda. Go on.
Because historically, if you look not just at the national level, but at the state level, and even nationally, when we think about the divisions, there hasn't been a lot of diversity, with the exception of organizations like the Multicultural Counseling and Development Association, and then also Council for Social Justice. There hasn't, but even in that organization, there hasn't been a lot of visible diversity.
Visible diversity. All right, well, I know this is also a dumb question that I ask on more than a regular basis. If visible diversity is the problem, what mechanisms do you put into place to solve for that problem? If we're talking about aesthetics, might I ask?
Among leadership, nor have pipelines been created. And so looking for opportunities for that. As well as taking another look, an assessment at our strategic plan and bylaws, our core mission and vision, to make sure we aren't just using language and we aren't just given this blanketed approach to rooting out racism within the profession.
Rooting out racism in the profession by elevating people in the profession into positions of either employment or authority, specifically on the basis of their skin color. And their visible diversity. That's how you're going to eliminate racism in the profession. Got it.
Providing opportunities as well for those who are the most vulnerable to even attend conferences and get sponsorships, really.
Why are they the most vulnerable? What makes them inherently vulnerable? I know. I'm asking rhetorical questions that I can only surmise the answer to, but we're talking to a professional expert, and this is her report.
Into the profession. Also advocacy around the journal, the Council of Journal Editors, so that they're developing programs that promotes and includes research and scholarship from a diverse pool.
Okay, how? All right, just take one of those things and break down how it works. All right, how do you ensure that you're publishing from a diverse pool? What does that mean? I mean, is there a quality of idea or thinking that occurs in someone who looks like a particular way and someone else who looks like another particular way? If two people submit articles to the journals that effectively promote the same idea or talk in equal terms on the same concept, which one do you choose to publish and on what basis? And then tell me, because you're so concerned with visible diversity, how you do not then have to employ racial discrimination in who you select to elevate the voice of.
Namely Black researchers. And also looking at revising even how we look at ethics as well. And then finally... Ethics by underscoring one race as being primary to your focus of advancement and resources and opportunities. Really? I didn't think it would be this blatant. Legislative practices.
As
well. Like? So looking at, we know that ACA is a signatory on the Leadership Conference on Civil and Human Rights. And so how are we addressing Congress, and what are the things that we are promoting?
Wait. Civil rights? You want to promote civil rights, or your organization is a signatory on a civil... Okay. And you are specifically highlighting one race as needing help and needing to be more visible in your profession. And you want to talk about civil rights. Just in spirit, you might want to actually read the Civil Rights Act of 1964. And more specifically to your profession, Title VII. Just that first line in Title VII should probably be enough. That might be something to look at.
For example, when we think about policing in Black communities, how are we advocating on those fronts for things as specific as prohibiting chokeholds? Because we see, and we've all agreed upon, all the counseling organizations have agreed that advocacy is central to the counselor identity.
What? Wait. What does police reform and police policy is something you're concerning yourself with as the Anti-Racist Commission of the American Counseling Association? Why? I mean, unless you're counseling police officers, I guess, but why?
And so we want to see that advocacy take place so that we are better serving our client populations.
Okay, well, who are your client Are your client populations specifically police or criminals or lawyers? I mean, it says the American Counseling Association. It doesn't say the American Legal System Counseling Association. What?
I know that was a mouthful.
Yeah, that was a mouthful because it was practically nothing. It was all... it told us nothing, and it brings up a heck of a lot more questions than it gave answers.
The commission is doing a lot.
Yeah, the commission's doing a lot. Please stay on her, Ray. Interviewer Ray, please ask some more specific questions. Hold her to whatever the heck she just said.
So is the commission like sitting in on committee meetings? Because each of those things you mentioned, I imagine that there's probably like committees that handle those areas, and would people within the commission be kind of sitting in on those meetings or looking at what those initiatives look like, and then saying, okay, well, what changes can be made in regards to these initiatives to promote anti-racism?
Yes. Dare I hope that she gives us an active example on exactly what the commission has done in a specific circumstance to promote anti-racism. Dare I hope.
Absolutely. And so in general, there's, I believe it's 9 key areas. 9. And the way we do it is our commission, we meet right now on a monthly basis. But we have kind of like, I'll say, a group chat. But when you're an ACA member, you're part of different communities, and our commission has their own community within ACA where we get to communicate to each other throughout the month, right? And so
so you have your own private chat room, and you're effectively a clique within the organization's organization. Almost sounds like an employee resource group. I do love my ERGs.
So we're just meeting monthly. We're not communicating with each other just monthly, but we meet monthly as a check and balance. We have homework assignments.
What? Okay. Just as a listening, I don't care about your scheduling. I don't care about your homework assignments. I care about your function and your actions. What utility do you serve? Right? I mean, if you have these 9 key points, all right, what are they? If you know that there's 9 of them, you should be able to list them off. You should have that Word document in front of you. Or were you not prepared to answer those questions today as well?
Every month as well.
I don't care.
And so with each initiative, there's also on the ACA side, an ACA faculty that's assigned to ensuring the initiative is taking place. And so each month they give us updates on where they are. And if we have questions, we can say, listen.
Good Lord. Okay. Give us an active example. I mean, this isn't top secret proprietary stuff here. You're a professional organization or association. Okay. So there was a thing that happened here, and the commission came in and made these recommendations. And this is our ongoing success story. Why not give us that? Everything you're saying so far is so amorphous and abstract, I don't even know what you're talking about. And I'm pretty sure you don't either.
What's happening here? Where exactly are you? What is the timeline for this? What are the steps that we're taking? In this arena or in this area? So to your question, yes, as a commission, we meet monthly. And
he didn't ask you for your schedule.
In that meeting is the CEO of ACA, as well as we have staff assigned to us.
So
as well, who's there. And so it's a bunch of us who are keeping track.
Of what? He asked you, what do you do? I mean, if you're taking it literally and you're giving him like, here's the days we meet. No, what do you do in the association to apply anti-racist practices to what's going on? Are you kidding me right now?
Of the progress that ACA is making on all the initiatives that are laid out.
Like what initiative? Just name one. Okay, just name one initiative that the commission has been, shadowing and overseeing or providing advice. Just name one.
And I really do like that we now have a document that we can refer to say, okay, these are our initiatives.
Well, great. Can you point me to that document? Maybe I should be reading that instead of listening to you. Thank you, Matt Barnes. It would be funny if she kept adding to her points like the Spanish Inquisition by Monty Python. It would be needed if she gave us the 9 to start. Yeah, wouldn't it, though? Like specifics about what's going on. I mean, she didn't come prepared, apparently. Yes, nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition. Our chief weapons are surprise and fear and surprise, and soft pillows, whatever. Like, jeez.
This is who's assigned to that initiative in case you want to follow up in the in-between.
What? I'm sorry for that. It is so frustrating that all he is looking for and all anybody listening this would be looking for is some specificity and nothing so far.
And we can see exactly, okay, so this was done. This needs to be done. We spoke to this person. We're waiting to hear back about, A, B, or C. And so we're able to...
You're talking about emails, schedules, and chat programs. That has any group, organization could be doing this and saying you could be talking about anything. You could be talking about Congress, for crying out loud. What does the Anti-Racist Commission do?
When you have a checks and balances process like that.
Checks and balances for what? What is the risk? What is at risk in the absence of checks and balances? What is the problem? And what do the checks and balances guard over? Right? Like in the American governmental system, put simply, there are 3 branches, and no branch has supreme power over any of the other 2. And there's checks and balances because everything has to go through different steps, and nobody can say instantly, this is what's going to happen, unless you're the president and make an executive order and otherwise. But setting that aside, what checks and balances? Against what? Against what risk? Against what power imbalance? What are you talking about?
Then you're able to more efficiently push forward initiatives because nothing is getting
oh my God.
We're constantly having these conversations.
So
yeah. And what about looking at systemic racism in the past in the profession? Is something being done, and is there research being done in regards to that, and then informing the profession about that research, about that history? Because it seems like being knowledgeable in history helps people realize the need.
Yes, that is okay. Again, he's being very polite and gentle about it, but credit to the interviewer for continuing to, at least attempting, to stay on topic. So, describe the problem, right, that the Anti-Racism Commission is purportedly trying to address. There is an existing problem in the profession, right, purportedly, and now we're going to be working to address that problem or those problems through this process. So, will she tell us the problem?
For focusing, having a lens of anti-racism and recognizing when something might be racist that they're not aware of. But
given we're talking about psychology, a Freudian slip that is far more accurate, if you think about it, than I think our speaker realizes.
Kind of seeing how things played out in the past can build that awareness. Is anything being done in that regard?
Absolutely. And so the person who's the leader of the Anti-Racism Commission, her name is Dr. Tanya Tinsley, and she's held many roles, but one of those roles is she's a former president of the Association for Multicultural Counseling and Development, which is one of the largest, if not the largest division of ACA.
Okay.
And so they've been great documentarians, and they have already done a lot of work.
And that work has shown what?
Acknowledging and really, there's a word that I'm looking for that is escaping me at this moment, but documenting the history of racism in the profession. But there's a word that I was looking for that's not coming to me.
At least on that point, I can empathize. My brain tends to outrun my mouth or vice versa, and sometimes I can't find the word I'm looking for. Okay, but you can tell us an example of something that they found that the Anti-Racism Commission is addressing, maybe?
And so I bring that up because I want to let you know that outside of the commission, people who aren't even on the commission, there are many committees and task force and individual researchers.
It almost sounds like there's too many cooks in the kitchen, but maybe that's just me.
Who are doing and have done this work.
What
a colleague
work?
of mine, Dr. Michael Hannon, myself and another colleague, Houston Fleming, we just submitted a paper really doing a timeline of the history of racism, particularly anti-Black racism in the profession.
Specifically anti-Black race. Yeah, that seems to be your focus for some reason. There aren't more than apparently 2 races on the planet, I guess, or something. So, and what did your paper find? What did your research show you? And then consequently, what is the commission working on?
Profession. And all of that serves as documentation and artifacts that's going to inform the consultant that we bring in.
Inform them of what? Consultant to bring in. What consultant? What? Wait, did I mishear that? Sorry. I thought we're supposed to be talking about the commission. Isn't the commission effectively one collective consultant?
Racism, particularly anti-Black racism in the profession. And all of that serves as documentation and artifacts that's going to inform the consultant that we bring in. And so that's where the Anti-Racism Commission comes in, because we are the ones who are reviewing those consultant RFPs. We are the one giving our feedback. We are the ones setting the tone. And when the consultant comes in, they have to do a deep dive and look at the history in the profession before they even make their, do their initial diagnosis, I'll say, using clinical counselor language, right? They have to do that assessment and get that historical knowledge. And so the great thing is, various divisions within our larger organization, as well as a lot of the committee members on the various committees in ACA, as well as individuals who are members of ACA, have done a really great job of documenting the history of racism within the American Counseling Association and the greater counseling profession.
Could you give us some examples? And I don't understand. You have all these committees, and you have the commission, and you have all these various levels and interest groups within the association, and you're having outside consultants come in to do what? I am so lost right now. And what qualified consultant on anything would not be doing research on whatever it is they're going to be consulting on? I've gone over this before many times. I've dealt with consultants in business. They come in to address a specific issue or problem. They do the research on what's going on currently, and then they provide possible answers or solutions to the problem. What problems are the consultants supposed to address that the commission isn't?
And so a lot of that information we already have. It's just about pulling it together
in
one place. And the consultant will be able to use that as artifacts and information to guide their assessment. And
you're just repeating yourself. You just said that same thing a second ago.
Next steps forward.
Steps for what? Forward towards what? What is the goal? Okay. Where are you beginning? And what is the hopeful outcome? What is the commission doing to solve what problems using what solutions? This should be very simple. The title of this, when I originally saw it, was A Report on the Efforts of the Anti-Racist Commission in the ACA, or something like that. Okay. What efforts? What?
Okay, yeah, that's fantastic.
No, it's not fantastic, Ray. And I know you're being polite, just like every time I watch one of these things, just like with Dr. Hoff. You're trying to be so polite and accommodating and not trying to challenge your guest or anything. I mean, you did a little bit at the beginning, but don't give praise where none has been earned. That doesn't do anything. That lets her off the hook. She's a professional. She is an expert. She is conceivably paid or compensated in some way for what she's doing that affects an entire swath of the professional community. You don't say something's fantastic unless it's fantastic.
And the thing I think could be really impactful about this is the role modeling. So, if ACA, for Code of Ethics, says anti-racism efforts are really important, or, anything coming down from the association saying, hey, you really need to look at anti-racism. That's one thing. But if the association is doing it themselves internally, that role modeling, I think, is really powerful. So what can large organizations, other behavioral health organizations, learn about being an anti-racist organization using ACA as a role model?
Okay. Again, credit where credit is due. He's trying to get some specific examples out of her. And he's doing the soft sell. I kind of get it, but either way. Okay. So far, relatively speaking, Ray has been on point. He's still trying to piece out something specific because we're not getting it. Let's see what happens at this bite of the apple.
Absolutely. And so we have, a really substantial website.
You're referring to do you or do you not know what the commission you are a member of does? Because I tell you what, if I didn't know any better, I'd say that you do not know anything about what the commission you're a member of does. It should be so simple. And I understand if the litany of positions and responsibilities that Ray gave us at the beginning of this are true, and I don't doubt that they are, I'm sure her attention is split in all types of different directions, but all the same, either you are here to represent the commission and to report on its activities and progress, or you're not. And it looks like it's the latter right now. And it's really confusing.
American Counseling Association. And so on that website, we offer a bunch of resources.
I'm going to have to go to that website. I mean, I'm going to have to do a supplemental today on this stream or next time, because apparently everything else is documented elsewhere, I guess.
And also links to resources around anti-racism as well. And so what can other organizations learn?
Yes.
One thing that has been really great about what ACA has done is the visibility of scholars and counselors of color.
The visibility of scholars and counselors of color. Dare I ask, by what mechanisms you choose to promote certain scholars and counselors with that as the preamble? And then tell me again about what anti-racism purportedly means.
That have been have earned and have been placed in position.
No. That is not the criteria. That is not the criteria that you have been promoting since this began. Merit is at best secondary. You have got to be kidding me right now. What did you just say? What did you say just a few minutes ago about your particular focus when it comes to providing opportunities, resources, and advancement, or et cetera? You don't get to make that move now. That doesn't, I mean, you can try it, but it doesn't save you from the original sin here.
Right. And so allowing access to spaces where populations have historically and traditionally been marginalized.
Allowing access. But it doesn't matter however much access you're giving, because you have a discriminatory lens and filter by which you're selecting who to publish, who to elevate, who to put the spotlight on. You've denied access to people because they don't fit the visibility you want. Are you kidding me right now?
It's super important, and providing the supports necessary for that access. We know that when we talk about this type of work, whether that is anti-racist work, whether that is inclusion work, or diversity and equity work, we know that the people who typically get charged with doing that kind of work are people who belong to underrepresented categories or the global majority.
The global majority. Okay, well, let me ask you something. What, on a visibility basis, would be your reaction, okay, if the Anti-Racism Commission was populated primarily by the quote-unquote global majority members? Would you see that as a good thing or a bad thing? Are the people that you are categorizing as being the victims of this systemic racism not the ones best qualified to lead these initiatives? Or are you asking for more white people to take over? Because I'm not quite sure how to interpret what you just said.
But in our, in our context, underrepresented populations.
Underrepresented population. Why are you using the buzzwords? Why are you using couched language here? The global majority. The global majority? How many Asian people are on this planet right now? The global majority? Are you kidding me?
And so we know that is additional amount of labor to have to do with.
Well, I'm sure it is very, very difficult labor to have to categorize everybody up on the basis of their race or ethnicity and then decide which ones are so vulnerable and unable to help themselves that we need to raise them up because obviously they can't do it because of, their visibility.
To have to deal with when you think about the regular labor of being a counselor or a faculty member or even existing at the margins of society today.
Existing at the margins of...
Also have to do work around that existence becomes laborious.
Existence becomes laborious. Everyone's existence is laborious. Oh my... I swear, and I say this so often, it is not meant to be a joke, but I swear, I do not watch these things ahead of time. And I try to pull presentations and panel discussions from as many a disparate source as I can find, so I am not falling into some kind of tunnel vision with a specific organization all the time or a specific set of people all the time or things like that. There are very few exceptions in my channel's history where I've looked at the same person or the same source of information more than once. Okay? And yet, somehow, I keep rolling snake eyes in trying to get specificity out of proclaimed experts on these things. Good gravy.
And so one of the wonderful things in the model that I hope other organizations follow after that ACA has done, they compensate the people for doing that work. Those aren't voluntary roles. Right?
So it's about the money? What?
Right? And so to be a commissioner, there are certain things that you, certain support that you get.
Like?
To send the message that what you're doing is valuable to us.
So you are encouraging other organizations, or I should say that by role modeling, you are encouraging other organizations to assess the people within their scope on the basis of their race, to elevate or give preferential treatment to people on the basis of their race, to create commissions or committees within their organizations to focus on this and make this happen, and also pay them for their time because existence is laborious because obviously it is because of what they look like. And you're an anti-racism commission. All right.
Right? We understand that this is additional labor that shouldn't be something that's just voluntary.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, this is additional labor that shouldn't be just voluntary. Yeah, okay. Well, what if one of the people on the commission is part of the quote-unquote global majority? Do they also deserve to be compensated for their time because it shouldn't be just voluntary? Or are they too privileged to be worthy since they don't live on the marginalization of existence and their existence is not nearly as laborious? Because you seem to be making that distinction. That's the distinction you are making. Is that how we're supposed to divvy people up in a professional setting?
And can you add this on your to-do list? That we value.
That is so important.
Yeah. Getting paid is really important. I agree.
Yeah. That we value what you are doing. And so,
okay. Well, how much are you getting paid for being on the commission? I'm just curious. I mean, conceivably you're being compensated, as I said, for this. So how much do you get paid to be on the commission whose activities you cannot list, whose successes you cannot conjure to mind, and whose purpose you weren't prepared to give any information on when called to specifically give information on? How much are you getting paid for that? Because, man, I want that job. That's nice work if you can get it.
So I really like that model. You know, they need to.
You like the model where you get paid? No, I like the model where I get paid too.
Put their money where their mouth is.
To do what? To accomplish what? What have you done to earn this money? What success stories do you have to regale us with? You have some, right? There was a problem, your commission came in, and you worked hard and applied your labor, and now you're on the pathway to solving it if you haven't solved it already. You can name these, right? Right. So
other organizations, like say a large, doesn't even have to be large, but a behavioral health provider.
Yes. Tell us about a behavioral health provider. Tell us how another mental health-based organization can learn from this.
That says, okay, we want to look at, being an anti-racist organization.
Okay. And Ray, again, credit as much as possible to do to Ray. He's asking the same question again and giving her yet another opportunity to describe specific actions. Like, what would they implement? I'm pretty sure he's going to start asking the same question again. What exactly could they do or should they be doing?
So the ACA, they had a task force. They have a commission to make sure things are done, to kind of be aware of all the initiatives.
Which we will not name or specify in any way, shape, or form, initiatives.
The organization, and looking at how can we make it be
anti-racist while still focusing specifically on one particular skin color.
How can we look at it, look at the possibility of it being racist? So how can other organizations do that? Would they say, if it's a large behavioral health practice, would that be them having a committee that would be financed?
Yes, that's exactly what she's talking about. She's talking about a organization within the organization that is paid to be on the organization. Oh, sorry, the commission. It seems as though simply being on the commission and nothing else is necessary to justify being paid.
That would, be aware of all the efforts of the organization and look at how can it be more anti-racist, or what would that look like?
Ray, I know you're trying, and I appreciate the effort, but you're being far, far too accommodating to this. And you keep softening the question and trailing off into generalities when you really should be focusing on specifics. And I don't understand why not. I mean, conceivably, again, this lady is representing a commission within a professional association. They are advising professionals on how to conduct themselves and their practices and so on. You should be demanding specifics, most especially since she is being paid. And I'm pretty sure, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that the American Counseling Association garners some of its funds from its members. So if you, Ray, are a member of the ACA, you are effectively paying this lady's stipend for being on the commission, which means you have every right to get specifics from her. Now, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know how the ACA works, but insofar as I understand how other professional associations work, I'd love to know the model elsewise. But Ray, really.
Does that make sense? I'm trying to see how is it that other organizations can use ACA as a role model so that they can also make sure that they're an anti-racist organization?
Yeah, this is the exact same question you asked before. And the fact that you have to ask it again says everything we need to know about her answer or non-answer. What will she say this time?
Absolutely. And so I know that for a lot of folks, the word racist, racism, race even, can be daunting terms for some, or even scary terms.
Mm-hmm.
It's not scary to me until I know what context we're talking about it in. And I'm still waiting for that part, save for the fact that a lot of the things you've said so far are sounding awfully racist.
Or, it's a term or terms that bring up a lot of defensiveness. And I believe the more we say it, then the less scary it can become.
You want to make racism less scary? Really? Is that the goal? Really? What?
For people. And so one of the missteps I think organizations make in general is that they really take this grassroots or bottom-up approach to addressing issues of DEI, right?
Horse hockey. Well, okay, obviously I can't speak for quote unquote most organizations, whatever the heck that means, but DEI initiatives are almost always implemented from the top down. Okay. I mean, you might have someone in the organization who's in a middle management or something suggest it, but ultimately those things have to happen from the top down because it becomes a whole culture, it becomes a whole process, it becomes a whole initiative. Grassroots, really? When has a DEI initiative last been a grassroots common practice? It is so marquee now amongst corporate America, education, and elsewise. There's no grassroots. What do you, come on.
And so the people who are at the top of the organization, tend to not be as present in those conversations or in those affirmations.
Affirmations? What are you talking about? Conversations or affirmations? Affirmations of what? Someone says, dude, your company's racist. And then the person at the top goes, yes, our company is racist. I mean, I can honestly imagine that's how some of the conversations have gone. What? How is this the ACA model inspiring other organizations?
Or acknowledgments as well. And so even before bringing a consultant in, there has to be a really important conversation at the leadership level about who folks are. And what they stand for, right?
What?
There needs to be a very clear message that the leadership are committed to.
Like what? I hate repeating myself, but I have no option. Can you give us an example? As always, I will take a hypothetical example aggregated from your years of experience and efforts. It doesn't have to be a specific organization you've worked with. You don't have to name names, but there must be some common through line amongst the many organizations that you've looked at over the years, or just the ACA in general, that you could construct an example of how it would work, of what happens. But no.
That they then send out to the larger organization. And then bringing a consultant in
A DEI consultant? Well, thank goodness I did enough research on that to know what qualifications are required for that job.
And being open about their history, right? Bringing a consultant in to, meet with people at all levels
open about
of
their
the
history.
Organization to do an assessment
of
and to
what?
help guide.
Assess what?
The work that they want to do in that organization.
Work for...
But also, and I hesitate to say this, but I know that it's very much needed.
What?
Yeah. You have to honor the expertise of the people who are most left out of the conversation.
I have to honor the expertise of those who are most left out of the conversation. So I have to nod and agree with whatever is claimed to be expertise if such a person falls within a particular demographic. I am not allowed to question, just question, not necessarily inherently doubt or just dismiss, but I am not allowed to question what someone says if they are, quote unquote, left out of the conversation. Are you kidding me right now? So, once again, we have not exactly a subtle... Merit is irrelevant. Race is paramount. Coming from a commissioner on the Anti-Racist Commission.
Right?
Right. No, right. Yeah. No. If somebody comes up and I, as the totally not racist individual, can obviously assess them as someone who needs to be listened to, and that I am not allowed, or it would be impolite to question anything they have to say based on not their expertise exactly, but that their expertise must be first assessed through a lens of anti-racism. I'm not infantilizing this person. I'm not effectively just nodding, smiling, and patting them on the head. No. I'm being anti-racist then. Good gravy.
And so just a quick look at your organization's webpage.
What?
Gives insight into who you are.
What? A look? How? Okay, all right. I'll buy it. How does looking at an organization's webpage tell me who I am? What are you talking about? All right, what does Google's homepage tell me about who they are? I just a thought. What is? I mean, it's an organization, right? Right. What does Google's homepage tell me about who they are? What am I supposed to glean from Google's homepage? I know I'm bringing up an extreme example, but what are you talking about? I know what she's talking about, right? I know what she's talking about. The implication here is if I go to an organization's webpage, there's purportedly going to be pictures of people from that organization, right? And obviously, from the visibility of certain persons, I can tell whether or not there's a problem in that organization, right? That's how you first tell if there's a problem in the organization. That's how you first tell whether racism is present in the organization. See too many of one kind of person or not enough of one kind of person or something? Well, obviously, then you know the character and philosophy of everyone involved in that organization. Because that kind of thinking and assessment is anti-racist.
When you're going to meetings, whether those are in-person meetings or virtual meetings, and you're looking at the pictures of the people on the screen or the people on the screen themselves, are you wondering who's missing?
Am I wondering who's missing because there's an expert on a particular topic that should be there for that discussion? Or am I supposed to be anti-racist?
Right?
Yeah, right. Yeah. Are you looking for confirmation every time you say that? Are you looking for someone to just nod and smile without question? I think probably. And Ray, unfortunately, is accommodating this, but...
And so that gives, all of those things give you information. And so it's important.
Really? All of those? Looking at a website and looking at the faces of the people on a Zoom call give you information? What, really? Boy, oh boy. I got a little jar of tea leaves in my kitchen. Now, I wonder what you could divine from that if I just dump them into a cup.
Important to then, once you get the recommendations from the consultant, right, then be committed to following through.
What consultant? What recommendations? What are you talking about?
And as I said before, putting your money with your mouth is. And so,
sorry. Okay. If the website has a problem visibility-wise, and the people on the conference call have a problem visibility-wise, how do you recommend an organization solve for that problem? What steps would the Anti-Racist Commission recommend to such an organization to solve for that problem? Specifically, on the ground, reality time, what would you recommend they do? Being an expert, as you are.
If the way that you do that is developing a committee, make sure that committee has power and not just we're doing this so it can seem like we're doing something around this topic. No, you want to make sure that committee has endowed power, which means that some of those policies are going to have to change. Right?
What policies? What policy has to change? Name one. Name one you've encountered. Name one that you've given recommendations to. What has been a flawed policy in your experience that you have seen across the counseling profession that you and your commission have given advice on to solve? What?
Right. So this is what we do, but then also...
You haven't said a thing about what you do. You have said nothing about what you do. You have talked about the logistics of meetings and scheduling. You have said nothing about what you do. You have implied and you have alluded to strongly many things, but you have not in one instance given us an example of what you do.
So before we do this, this committee has to sign off on it, right? Before we put things on this committee, right? You want to write the committee in to the policies to make sure that they have power to execute the goals and the vision of what the leaderships have already established and conveyed their commitment.
Yeah, that is the function of just a committee oftentimes. You're not describing anything special about what you do. Describing the functions of a committee in a professional environment does not say anything about what you do in your commission. Are you kidding me right now? Zero Depressive, thank you so much. You seem to be under the impression you will hear concrete facts from her, Scribe. It breaks my heart seeing you like this. I am under the impression. I come to each one of these things honestly, and I know it might seem like a running joke by now, and I don't want it to be. And I'm not trying to be, putting the edge into my voice as your statement or anything. But it is just my overall generalized frustration with time after time after time. I honestly want to understand, just as with everything else, if they say that they are introducing anti-racism into counseling professions, or the counseling profession, I honestly want to know, what does that look like? Right? What does it mean for a counselor to be advised to implement this into their practice or into their business, even if it's just a business bureaucratic thing? What does that look like in the office of J random counselor out there? And how does that translate down to their clients, if it does at all? I mean, I don't know. I want to find out. I want to know, even if I don't agree with it, even if it sounds just crazy, no pun intended, to the subject matter. But I can't even get that to assess it because time and time again, as you guys know, every time an expert steps up to supposedly tell us something, it's nothing. It's buzzwords or filler or pablum or just pure sophistry. And it is really frustrating. And it's also really disturbing too, because I have no doubt that our speaker is a member of the things that was listed off as she's a member of. I have no doubt that the organizations, the committees, the commissions that she is on and works for have influence over other people's professions. So it does mean something somewhere. I'm just constantly baffled as to why we can't get a straight answer when someone's asked a straight question on something that they're supposed to be an expert in. And in this instance especially, paid to do. Thank you, Matt Barnes. Again, I've read your tea leaves. I see a scribe, nay, a scribe light, with great powers and responsibilities and such, and you use them for critical thinking. As best as I possess. That's about it. But I don't think this is any kind of, deep, layered interrogation I'm doing here. I'm waiting to get to the point where I can apply my critical thinking. We haven't even gotten to that point yet. This is like the point of where critical thinking really applies is at the core of the planet, right? And so far, we're still tilling the topsoil at best. Holy cow. Thank you guys so much.
Yeah. That makes perfect sense.
No, it doesn't, Ray. It doesn't make perfect sense, Ray. Stop rewarding bad work, Ray. Come on. Stop it. You improve nothing and help nothing by giving this kind of thing a pass. You are talking to a professional, a proclaimed, and as far as I can see, credentialed expert in the field in which you have a personal interest, and you have been given nothing for 20 minutes. Don't do this. My advice to anybody interviewing anybody in a situation like this, there is never a call to be rude. There's never a call to get entirely adversarial. But what utility is something like this to serve except to inform people about what your profession is doing? What accomplishments you are making or what you see as accomplishments. And if you are interviewing someone within your own profession who has some influence over the quality or state of your profession, and especially in an instance where they're being paid, conceivably by your dues or something, you have to ask for specificity. You have to demand it. Politely, if necessary, but you have to demand it. You really do. Do not coddle someone who says that they are an expert. Either they are or they are not. Either they are informed and can relay that information to someone else in a clear manner, or they cannot. And if they cannot, fine, have that on the record, but do not reward them for their lack of clarity.
That's really helpful.
No, Ray. Gosh, stop it.
So it sounds like...
Yes, Ray, what does it sound like? Okay, after 20 minutes of this, and we're coming up on the end, how do you assess the nothing we have been given thus far?
The leadership of an organization.
Yes.
Really having a clear sense of who they are, the fact that they want to be an anti-racist organization. And then another next best step is to hire a consultant, because the consultant's going to help be they're going to kind of know how to build these structures in, right? So that it is to help it be an anti-racist organization. And also, it'll also help those things actually be implemented.
What things?
Because I could think, with for-profit organizations, even nonprofit, probably.
Ray.
I could see how finances can come into play in terms of decisions like how do you make services accessible? How do you market services? What communities do you engage in? Yeah,
and wouldn't it be nice if she gave us any kind of information on such an initiative? If she gave us any kind of example on what a company could do? Like, okay, let me just, for the moment, for the sake of argument, let me set aside every ridiculous racist implication of what has been suggested so far. Okay, let's just set that aside. A consultant comes in, right? And the company says, in no uncertain terms, because let's just do away with all the pretense, shall we? Our website has too many of the same kinds of people on it. We need to change that. Oh, consultant, will you not help us with this problem? And the consultant says, okay, well, what kinds of people do you need to populate your website with in order to solve this problem? What would make you feel more comfortable about your web page, about your Zoom call? And the people at the company say, we need more, and insert racial demographic here. And consultant says, all right, then, do you have any openings in your organization right now? And they'd say, yes, we have one or two. Okay, we're going to take these job opportunities and we're only going to post them in communities, neighborhoods, social centers and so on, where people like the kind of people you're looking for generally populate. All right? And we're not going to give it to anybody else. All right, that's what we're going to do. That will solve your problem, because anybody who applies for this job will, on odds, fall within your desired demographic, and then you can hire them without any kind of guilt. Right? There you go. Is that what a consultant is going to do in one of these situations? Ray, I'm asking Ray here because Ray is the one giving her praise. Ray has heard the exact same information I've heard. What does Ray think a consultant is going to do to solve the problems, the few that we have heard as listed by our speaker? What do you think, Ray?
Whatever. Who is it that you hire?
Yeah.
What positions do you support? All those kind of things.
Yeah. And by what metric do you decide who to hire, Ray? Based on what she has said. What do you think? What would be the first consideration based on what our speaker has given us you think that the organization should use when making such decisions in the universe that has been presented to us?
So having a consultant or a commission or something like that that's really empowered, I could see that making a difference.
What kind of difference? What is different? What's being changed, Ray? Huh? What is the problem as cited, and what is the solution as implied?
So I hope we continue to hear more about this.
I do too.
I hope that the ACA's Anti-Racist Commission and also other behavioral health organizations who are doing similar things, I hope that it continues to be visible.
Dude. I do not mean this facetiously. I absolutely agree. I want more visibility of what this is and how it is being applied to the mental health sphere. I really do.
So that as a profession, we can hear more and more about this and see how this is played out, see how it's implemented, understand more fully how, all of our organizations can implement such things.
Isn't that what she was supposed to be here to tell you? Isn't that why she was here? Why you listed off all her credentials, the expert? She was supposed to be the one to tell you at least some notion of those details. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. So Dr. White, thank you very much. This has been very helpful.
No, Ray, it hasn't. I mean, save for the insidious implications at certain points, but it hasn't at all been helpful. Ugh.
Really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
And that is it. That is the end. This is the end. My only friend, the end. All right. Well, I've obviously had my say, so I'm going to go to the chat now. If you guys have anything you'd like to add, I will try to showcase as much as I can here. Asian Research for Directorate. How cool would it be if someone were to actually explain what, quote, the work TM is and what they do? Yeah. What is this, pained labor that is done, that is enacted, that needs to be compensated financially, obviously, and what successes has it gleaned for the ACA? I would love to know. Zero Depressive, you think if there's any incline off questioning them, these experts will give you an interview? Or inkling of questioning them? I would love, it's only been a couple of times that I have made an attempt, even in a joking manner, to try to contact any of the people that I've looked at in the past. And only in a couple of instances where I have tried that have I gotten any kind of response back. One example is a lady named Beat Chalette, and she is a I'm probably simplifying it too much, but she's a business consultant who did several little promo videos on how to implement gender equity and so on in her businesses. And as far as I know, I could be mistaken now. Maybe she changed it. But we followed each other on Twitter for a while. Might still be. And we had several conversations back and forth in the comments of the videos I did of her videos, which were, all things considered, given my, sort of entertaining attitude when I do videos like this, very, very professional, very mature, wasn't overly adversarial, was polite, a little edge here and there. But other than that, no, I haven't. I would love to be able to talk to one of my subjects directly. I'd be surprised if A, they would agree to it, and B, that I would get the answers I would be looking for, or at least get answers, period. Whether I'm looking for them or not, I'd want to know what the truth is. But at the same time, I would not shy away from, I'm using this phrase a lot lately, I don't know why, leaning in. It did ever since the Harley Davidson, the Marlboro Man review. That phrase has come to my mind more and more. But anyway, I would do my best to stay on topic and politely demand clear answers. Nobody, not me. Ray is more fucking confused than I am. Probably, but he's being very, very overly polite about it. Rex Luna, LOL, sounds like they want to violate Title IX of the Civil Rights Act like a boss. Well, not only Title IX, but Title VII. Who you decide is employable or is a job applicant of worth based on non-meritorious aspects like religion, ethnicity, race, sex, and so on. Yeah, Title VII is the one I always come back to in a lot of these things, because oftentimes, as our speaker said, the problem is the visible nature of the workforce. And I am challenged to think of another way to solve for that problem without implementing discrimination in hiring practices. And again, maybe it's the poverty of my imagination. Maybe there's some other answer to it, but I'm hard pressed to think of it. Ryan R., she likely thought that went spectacular, in the sense that she wasn't held to any specific or detailed answers. Sure. And in the sense that anybody going along with Ray's attitude about it will feel satisfied. Sure. I have no doubt. Bridget, this whole talk is just a self-fulfilling cycle. Complain about a problem, hire us to solve it. We found another problem. Repeat. Yeah. I mean, obviously, and here's the thing. I come back to the beginning. Circle back. Anti-racism requires the non-questioning belief and faith that racism is already and inherently in everything and everyone. There is no need to question that fact. We start with that as an assumed reality, and everything else continues from it. So, is there a need for an anti-racist commission in name your organization? Of course. There's no question. There cannot be a question. Because to ask a question, that indicates you might be the problem. Matt Barnes, Scribelight, I find these psychology streams particularly painful. You do you, it's not my wheelhouse. Don't today, didn't disappoint. Again, I don't look at these things because I want to, if that makes any sense. I look at these things because I want to know. I don't want to live in ignorance of what is being promoted or is being employed in areas of our world that I think are important. And this isn't me like dismissing your comment or anything, but this is how my brain works. Like, I don't have kids, right? I don't have kids, but I know plenty of people that do. And the kinds of things I see being promoted in elementary schools, and you just look at the headlines these days, and it's more prevalent than ever, concern me. I don't have a horse in the race, so to speak, because again, I don't have any children. But to me, that's beside the point. This is a reflection of the society we have and the society we'll have going forward. And places like mental health. I mean, if there's one place, I'm not going to name any names. Right? I don't have to, because everybody knows somebody. Everybody has somebody in their sphere, in their life, who has, at one point or another, had an emotional problem, a psychological problem, and perhaps some of you do as well. I know I have. And so for that one, I have a little bit of a horse in the race because I've had to go through therapy voluntarily. And fortunately, the therapist I had was helpful. But I can easily put myself right back there at the beginning where I wasn't sure about some things and I was vulnerable. And I can only hope that if a agenda-driven therapist had come at me with something that was absolutely ridiculous, I would have had the wherewithal to walk away. But when you are asking someone to help you with something that you have no control over, if you're looking for a lifeline over something that is torturing you on a daily basis, and you put your trust in someone with the credentials to say that they have those answers or they have those solutions, I'd like to think that I would have been strong enough to be able to tell, chaff from gold, but maybe not. And I can't even imagine some people who had it worse off than I have in the situations they find themselves in. And if this or something implied by this is what's going on in the mental health community, holy cats, I got to tell you. And Jason Griffin, this whole anti-racism is the main thing destroying the black community. I'm not in danger around white people. I feel far more safe around them, actually. Well, again, just the fact that we keep having to come back to there's a great little clip, and I recommend everybody who's interested watch it. There's a great little clip you can find on YouTube. It's between Morgan Freeman and Mike Wallace, the old 60 Minutes interviewer, who I think has now passed away, yes. And they're initially talking about Black History Month. And the back and forth and the attitude of Morgan Freeman there best exemplifies my hopes, where I thought we were headed 20 years ago, but now have regressed back into territory like this. It doesn't matter. Your skin color is irrelevant. It is as relevant to who you are as your hair color or your eye color. Why can we not relegate skin color to the same category we give consideration to as far as hair color and eye color, right? I mean, no one is defined by any of those things except for gingers. They have no souls, and for some reason, I find them ridiculously attractive when it's a female. Anyway, everyone, thank you for joining me this morning. I really appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for your time, your attention, your participation, and your generosity. I really do appreciate it. If you'd like to hear more from me, well, I've got a whole channel full of this kind of thing if you're interested, or otherwise, I will be doing, as always, Thursday at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern on this channel, another episode of TED Excellence, where we'll look at another off-brand TED Talk for insight, education, and entertainment. I call it entertainment. In edutainment and either way, thank you guys again for joining me. Hope you'll have a good rest of your weekend. I hope you are all safe and well. If you are not well, please get well soon, and I will see you on the next one. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.